So would you say, I mean, obviously one pillar is coaching,
Yeah,
right? Is there, and I love that. I'm almost glad you didn't mention anything else. I want you to, if there is anything else that
sure.
pops in your head, but I think it's so cool like talking about this because I just get these like flashbacks. I remember interning and having to watch DVDs of like I remember Joe DeFranco's DVD, and that's even later than some of the guys you mentioned.
Yeah,
I think it was Bill Parisi. I think I had to watch some of his stuff. But like there was all these DVDs on the bookshelf that I'd take home and watch, right? And you don't get that anymore because it's almost like it almost sucks that it's so accessible to put things on YouTube because anybody can do it. And I mean, Instagram. I finally started making these videos of like just me critiquing and just trying to show people what actually works and what doesn't because there's so many influencers that are just putting out what they do, and it's just so wild and not helpful for the everyday person. But coaching is a lost art form. So I love that you guys are really pushing that and you're trying to step forward and really show this to people because I think that's what allows you to be in business for 25 years. And this gym's 16. That's crazy, dude. I'm going to hit 8 in October. And that feels like a long time.
yeah.
You know,
Feels like
it's
a couple
crazy.
lifetimes.
It is. It is. And I think most businesses in general fail before 5 years is like the stereotypical thing, right?
For sure. Yeah, for
So,
sure. I mean, I think there's data on that might even be like less than that, less time. People are out of the door these days in like 18 months. They fail faster these days. I think they have a misaligned expectations. I was under no illusion that this was going to be easy, but I didn't have this constant influx of marketers telling me that in 90 days I'd make $1 million. I was just my expectations were aligned. I knew it was going to be hard and I didn't expect it to be anything other than hard. And I had better learning paths. Like I don't even think a lot of people learn through YouTube. I think today's fitness professional is learning through Instagram and they're
mm,
getting these very small bits of information. And I think it makes them hard to really truly know what they're doing. And they don't dig deeper because of the accessibility of stuff online. So I mean, I think it's the same thing, but it's like learning to learn.
yeah.
Like if there's a topic that you want to learn, like get off social media, find out who the best people in the world are. Like if you want to learn about copywriting, go all the way back and like study John Carlton. Don't get on Chat GPT and ask it to write your copy. And I'm not saying that's not a decent strategy, but if you've studied John Carlton and other people, you're going to be much better at like massaging that copy to be more reflective in talking to your audience and your customer. But if you don't know, like you don't have anything to match that up against. You're just going to rock with what Chat GPT tells you. And then it's apples versus apples. Everybody sounds the same. And
Yeah, coming from somebody who uses ChatGPT, and I know you do too for
yeah,
different things, I'll say that I echo it completely. There's never been anything from a copy perspective or a content perspective that doesn't get spit out that I don't tweak or adjust or review. And then on top of that, if you're trying to teach your team how to use ChatGPT to sound like you and brand like you and market like you, good luck trusting just that because even the way they prompt it is going to be different than you, right? So it's not
100%.
something you can just completely rely on. Man, you have studied so many different topics, so many different things. You said, learning to learn and everything. What do you feel like is, I mean, what was your purpose behind it in the beginning? I mean, because, I feel like one of the common things I see with you and other guys like you is you have to be really passionate about coaching specifically. Back then it wasn't a get rich thing like it is today. Because now online marketers and stuff can say, hey, you're going to make a bunch of money and you're going to go sit on the beach and do whatever. Back then there was no illusion of that. But I would imagine maybe just I like to lift weights, so I'm going to do this, right? It's cool to be a fitness guy, whatever. What was your why? Like back then, why did you want this so bad? It is a hard journey.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had like one of those like stories that like people would normally tell you. It's like I figured out my why was to do A, B,
Yeah.
C, and D. If I were to give you two things that drove me, I mean, it was survival and trauma, man. Like it's like I had to survive. I had to feed a kid, and I joked with a buddy of mine who's got a similar but different background. I was like, we're just enough traumatized through our life experience to have something to prove, but like
Mhm.
not so traumatized that we can't take action on it. I personally think a lot of people, when they're asked that question, they kind of give the answer that the audience wants to hear. And while I would never wish trauma or like being thrust into survival mode at an early age on anyone, there's probably something in your life like that that you can leverage that you're not thinking about. For me, it's like I didn't want, I moved away from an area and I never wanted to be another story of all the people I grew up with that were just locked up and in trouble and made nothing of their life. So when I came out here, it was like my why was like to start over. I didn't know how to redefine myself or how to shift my identity. I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew that like I had a kid to feed. This was the only path that made sense to me. I was virtually unemployable. I'd quite frankly, I sold drugs when I was younger. It wasn't like I had a lot of job experience to anchor onto, but I was like, this is what I think I can do well. And for some reason, I had an intuition about that, and I just doubled down on it. And, I'd like to think that was God in my life before I was even aware of that. And I've just kind of followed that path, for my whole life. So that's just, I wish I had a better story for the listeners, but that's just the truth.